All right, we will go ahead and call the Becker City Council meeting of March 17th to order. If you'll join us for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Has council had a chance to look over the meeting minutes for March 4th?
I will make a motion to approve the March 4th meeting minutes as presented.
Second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried. Any additional items for this evening?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to add the 2020 Street Improvement Project as item number 9, Charlie, to our agenda for tonight.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried. I'll ask for approval of the amended agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. All right, this evening, first order is Census Day Proclamation. So a proclamation from the City of Becker declaring April 1st as Census Day in Becker, Minnesota. Whereas the census has played an important role in identifying where resources are most needed since our nation's earliest days, and whereas the census ensures adequate funding for schools, hospitals, senior centers, and other public works projects, and ensures that our roads are safe and well kept. And whereas an accurate census count allows for proper representation in Congress, and whereas companies use census data to assist in locating new storefronts and expansions, and where the census is safe and easy to complete, and the Census Bureau aggressively protects all participants' private information, which is never used against them or shared with other government or private entities. And whereas the 2020 census is earlier than ever to complete through easier than ever to complete through an online option, and whereas it is civic duty for all residents to participate in the 2020 census. So now, therefore it be resolved, I, Tracy Bertram, Mayor of the City of Becker, do hereby proclaim April 1st as Census Day in Becker, Minnesota, and I urge all citizens to complete their 2020 census. Be it further resolved, city staff will be available to assist any residents with completing their census. And this is adopted today, March 17th of 2020. And we are definitely in the spirit of Becker Counts today. So, Guests in Open Forum. Do we have anybody here for Guests in Open Forum? No? All right. I would like to, just a couple minutes, if council will allow, just to talk about what the city is doing with the COVID-19 situation that we are currently in the state of a pandemic. So keep in mind our top priority is public safety and our residents as well as our employees. Becker is continuing to follow what the Minnesota Department of Health and what the Center of Disease Control provides us as guidelines and states, and then as well as Sherburne County Public Health to implement the best practices to protect the public health. So we are following all those guidelines as we make decisions that do affect our public. City business as is right now, and again, everything is evolving. What I state now is probably going to change a little bit later, as we've all witnessed. We are asking our residents to conduct as much business as they can online. Water bills can be paid online. Water bills can be received in the secure box in the parking lot. If they do need to come in to speak with a staff member, we ask them to call ahead, plan for the day, call ahead and make your appointment with that individual if needed be, so that they can accommodate the space accordingly for that. And then we also understand, in order to stop the spread of the COVID-19, that many of the activities have been rescheduled. So definitely stay attuned if you were going to attend something, make sure it was postponed or rescheduled. hopefully we'll be able to get back to a new norm soon. A point of interest, the Becker Food Shelf is open Tuesdays from 9 to 11 and Thursdays from 4 to 6, and we are diligently working hard to make sure that that necessity is available to all of our citizens and to those that need it. We ask people to keep in mind that there's going to probably continue to build a need for that service, so please, if you're able to, drop off donations at City Hall, and we'll be able to take care of that for you. One last thing, probably more from my tidbit, is to take care of yourself, especially your mental well-being. I mean, we're so used to being out with people. Our social evolvement has brought us to that day, and as we take a step back and kind of quarantine ourselves or not be able to partake in some of those things, I want you to remember your mental health as well. If you can, get outside and take a walk on the fresh air. FaceTime a relative, check in on a parent or family member as well, just giving them that interaction as well. Don't forget about them, don't forget about you. So as you take those precautions, remember yourself as well, and use the downtime wisely and do something that'll help others. Does council have anything else to add on the pandemic?
Local businesses as
Yes.
much as you can.
Definitely. Yes, and I think we have a couple updates from staff. They want to give us a little bit later as they come to the podium as well what they're doing. So, yeah. All right, we will move into committee reports. Excel Advisory.
So Excel Advisory met last Friday. Main thing we talked about was just kind of an update on the outage, and then of course as we think of where we were with coronavirus, last Friday, and just how much things have moved. And so we were just talking about just kind of an update from both the company and the city standpoint. That was a topic of discussion. And then kind of talking about the outage and a little bit about the road project in the spring coming up here, next phase of that. So, and then I could take EDA as well. Next one. Had a monthly market update. That'll, I don't know with right now, but obviously with interest rates coming down, that could make a change there. But March is typically a real busy time in the real estate world, so not sure what that's going to mean this year. But we also talked about EDA goals for the year, and then we had updates on the regional planning partnership. And as well as the Sherburne County is doing a housing study right now, and I think we had talked about possibly, so they're doing a countywide study, which might be a little more broad, and then the question was brought up was, okay, can we maybe tack onto that at the end and do something Becker specific, since 85% of the work will be done, can we just add in some of the detail, pay for a little more and add in some of the details. So the decision for that should be more towards the end of the project, kind of to see what we get as a deliverable first. And so we had, I think that's something we had talked about before, but after talking with others, it was decided we'd wait till the end of the project, see what they deliver, and then we can see if it makes sense to, if we feel we need any additional information that would benefit us individually. That's about it for EDA.
All right, so Fire Joint Powers Board met last night. We had budget and finance there from the city, and they discussed and answered questions in regards to the accounts receivable and accounts payable policy and procedure. And it was determined that we would put those into our employee manual on the fire department side. We also discussed the Northern Meadow state aid process in order to make sure that that is all taken care of and completed. And then also I presented Chief Kolbinger, Assistant Chief Tom Work, and Assistant Chief Jeff Edling a letter of recognition last night as well for their job well done conducting with that incident. So that was our meeting. Any other reports or meetings that we missed? Okay. Board committee and consultant reports. Pebble Creek Beverage Provider Agreement. Josh Kua.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before I begin with the RCA, I'll give Council a little update on Pebble Creek Golf Club and the restaurant facility there. So, like many of us, the ground has kind of been shifting under our feet, and we've been preparing and reacting accordingly. So, with the governor's notice last night that restaurants are closed for dine-in service, we had already been preparing for how we would react, as many other states had made a similar move. So as of this evening, we have transitioned and are live with curbside to-go ordering. So we've reconfigured our phone system, so if you call Pebble Creek's main line, option 2 will get you to one of our employees to take your to-go order, and then we've designated curbside seating or pull-up, and then you can call the number again and press 3, and we will run it out to you in a safe and sanitary way. As of about 35 minutes ago, we only had 7 orders of our corned beef and cabbage left. So if you're watching this live, you might be able to still get one. But we are condensing our hours, but very happy to see on our first evening, we've probably moved close to 30 plates out the door in this period from 4 to 5:45. So I know on behalf of all hospitality workers in Becker and the surrounding areas, we do appreciate the support during this kind of uncertain and difficult time. And we look forward to getting back to normal and having all our guests get back and enjoy the experience that they do at Pebble Creek. With that, I will transition to the request for council action on the Pebble Creek Beverage Provider Agreement. So beginning of 2019, just kind of bring you up to speed, the Becker Community Center and Becker Athletic Complex utilize the services of Viking Coca-Cola, where Pebble Creek uses Burnix Pepsi. So in the beginning of 19, we went out of contract purposefully at the Community Center and the BAC with the hope of aligning all 3 of those properties to negotiate a contract going forward. And we are, at that time, our current agreement with Pepsi ends April 1st. So we've been working, our staff, with Burnix and Coca-Cola to negotiate a new contract going forward for all 3 of these properties. Status previously was in our last 5-year contract with Burnix Pepsi. They had given us Pebble Creek $6,000 a year on a 5-year deal. And that's pretty routine for exclusive beverage contracts, that the provider will have some upfront money and incentives to have you exclusively use their products. So we had opportunities to meet with both parties, and both came with very competitive offers. But tonight we are recommending that we would align all 3 of those properties and enter into a 7-year agreement with Viking Coca-Cola. And some of the reasons that we're choosing Coca-Cola over Burnix, and I will say that Burnix has provided a very good service for us, and I know previous history with the city as well, but as we have a chance to kind of forge a new beginning, we've made a lot of changes at Pebble Creek, so the opportunity seemed great. Money is the first one. We talk about that upfront money. Coca-Cola is offering $7,000 per year for 7 years, so that's $49,000 over the life of the contract, with basically no strings attached, money that we can utilize how we see fit to best boost the city's business. They've also stepped up and offered an additional $5,000 a year for marketing-related activities. So there's a lot of different ways that we can use that. So the total contract has gone from $6,000 a year, which we previously received, to essentially $12,000 a year. So it's a substantial sum of money. They've also given us the opportunity, should we see fit, to lump some of that money up early. So we could receive 3 years of the $7,000 in a lump sum of $21,000 immediately, and then 5 years of the, did I put that right? And 5 years of the marketing money, so that's actually $25,000, not $35,000. Nonetheless, it's $46,000 that we could have up front if there was a specific opportunity to purchase new beverage carts that we would own and maybe save ongoing lease fees. There's lots of different opportunities we're looking at, but all towards the goal of taking this money and having it either generate incremental revenue year after year, or else minimize maximize cost savings going forward. So staff would look at those options, but it's a substantial increase from what we previously received. Second reason is equipment. Both companies offer and they supply the necessary cooler equipments, so that's kind of an apples and apples, but what excites us about the opportunity at Pebble Creek to transition to Coke is we can hand select new equipment to best fit our redesigned space and service model. So that's a unique opportunity for us to kind of readdress what we want our cooler spaces to look like, have them fit the new sizes, and upgrade the equipment to new equipment. And then the third one that our staff and our guests have weighed in on as well is the products. We do a large percentage of our business in the restaurant is alcohol sales, and we hear a lot from our guests that, you know, they like a Captain and Coke better than a Captain and Pepsi. And it aligns better with what our staff would recommend and the feedback we get from our guests. So for those three reasons, we're recommending that we enter into an agreement with Viking Coca-Cola. We have discussed this at length with the Golf Committee, and they recommend the findings of this request. Budgetary and financial impact, this will certainly have a very positive impact, both in the upfront money and some increased operational capabilities. So I would love an opportunity to answer any questions anybody has. At the end, looking for a motion and second to approve Resolution 2017 to enter into a beverage provider agreement with Viking Coca-Cola for Pebble Creek Golf Club, Becker Community Center, and Becker Athletic Complex. Be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
So I think 7 years, that's back when I was on Parks and Rec. I remember negotiating probably the predecessor to what you had. And I know we were always looking at shorter deals, hoping they'd come through with the better. So you think going with the longer deal in this case, like I don't think we've ever done a 7 or even close to it. You think that's, was Burnix putting up a similar, were they 6-7 years as well?
We had asked Burnix to quote out a 5-year and a 7-year, just so we could see if there was any incremental upfront money. They just supplied the $6,000 for 5 years, which we had previously been receiving. And my thoughts on that are just because of the strength of Viking Coke's offer. I think that $12,000 annually is, and from what I've seen negotiating these contracts at other facilities, is a really strong offer. So even getting that for 7 years, I'd be really comfortable with that, not knowing how the industry might change in that time, even after 5 years. So because of the strength of the offer, I would feel very comfortable moving for 7 years.
Yeah, this was definitely better than anything we ever seen. So
If no one else has a question, any other questions, I'll make a motion to approve the 20-17 to enter into a beverage provider agreement with Viking Coca-Cola for Pebble Creek Golf Club, Becker Community Center, and the BAC.
I'll second. Motion from Troy, second from Becky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
I got one more question for you. What's the hours for Pebble Creek for
Yep.
like this upcoming weekend? and
Yeah,
stuff like that?
absolutely. So we're operating 7 days a week with this to-go order curbside pickup model. So until anything else changes, our hours of operation is we're taking orders over the lunch hours from 11 to 1, and then the dinner hours from 4 to 7. And we put some Facebook posts out as well as other messaging that we have 2 different ways that you can place your order. One is pebblecreektogo@gmail.com is a new email that we had set up to receive those, as well as just calling our main number, 763-200-4268.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Call for public hearing for proposed ordinance revisions, City Code Chapters 9 and 11. Jacob Sanders.
I'll do it anyway. Thank you, Mayor, Council. We have several edits. So a few months ago, staff was asked to do some updating on edits relating to parking. RVs and otherwise. And so we have done that. Planning Commission has actually reviewed the language a few times and held a public hearing. We also had the language that they approved presented to Executive Committee on the 4th. So there's, really tonight is the call for the public hearing. There was some direction from council that we wanted to have another public hearing coming up in April to review the language, to provide the opportunity for people to actually see the language, because there are substantial edits going forward. And there are a few changes. We were also asked at the Executive Committee to change just a couple things relating to surfacing materials, coming under the parking pad and extending. So we did add those in there as well. And really tonight, all we're looking for is for a motion and second to, and I know that, just so you're aware also, we did relay the information to all the council members, so you all have the same information that was presented at Executive Committee. So what we're asking for tonight really is a motion and a second to approve the two resolutions, so 20-23 and 20-24, calling for the public hearing on April 7th, where we'll review the language for 9 and 11. Any questions on?
If we call for this tonight, can we, if we get to April 7th and we're still on quarantine lockdown or whatever, can we, in the interest, you know, if we think about it, if we had 10 people show up tonight, what
Yeah.
would we do?
Right.
So is it okay for us to that night reschedule the public hearing?
Yeah, because, so the code edits, yes.
Okay. And
Short
I'm not
answer is
saying
yes.
suggesting, but I'm just saying. just
No,
give
yes,
the
that
option.
is something that can be done. You would come in that night, the public hearing, you could reschedule that. I think we would probably have to notify some notice. I'm just thinking. Yeah, you could table it as well. So you could table till,
Table till the next
Yeah.
meeting, say, or something,
Yeah.
okay.
and that would still give the opportunity for, if somebody did show up, they know that the next time that they come, and it would be noticed again so that they were aware of that. And the other thing too is, since this isn't a state mandated public hearing, that also gives you a little more flexibility on that, because planning commission.
We already had one.
Any other questions? And again, you'll have the opportunity to run through that language.
I'll make a
Public
motion to approve resolution 2023, which would be to call for a public hearing on chapter 9 edits of the city code.
I'll second it.
Motion from Rick, second from Becky. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion to approve resolution 2024, which should be to call for a public hearing, I suppose we gotta say the date, technically, on April
April 7th.
7th, for changes to chapter 11 of the city code.
I'll second.
Motion from Rick, second from Becky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right, 2020 street improvement projects. Phil Knudsen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Coming before you tonight, looking to present a resolution for our street improvement projects for 2020. If you recall, we bid out 2019 projects, but we didn't execute any of the contracts because of timing of the season. So we kind of put this together quickly to get it in front of you, because we're at a prime bidding window right now. So what we have tonight are the plans and specifications. So the resolution is asking for approval of said specifications, as well as authorizing us to go out for bid on this project. So we've brought this in front of you a few times, so you can take a look at it. This is just the next step in the process. So once the bids, if you approve this step tonight, once we go out for bid, we would tabulate bids and bring it back to you for final approval of the project itself. So I do have a hard copy here. I know it was electronically delivered to you guys, so if anybody wants to see any details on it, I can run you through that. And then one point of note, we did not get the official bid advertisement sheet. That is forthcoming. So basically, the things that I put in the resolution of note, we're mandated to make sure that we publicize it 2 weeks in our official paper, which would be, if approved, it'll be this weekend and the following weekend. and we would put it on the Quest CDN website, effective immediately as well. So we would, the bid closing date would be April 14th at 11 o'clock here at City Hall, and then we'd bring those results at the April 21st meeting for you guys to consider. I probably should give you a rundown. Parkview is the primary street. So when we combine this one, if this is approved with last year's, we'll do all of Parkview, plus we'll include Prairie Court, Olivia Court, Sunset Drive, and the alternate is the City Park parking lot as well.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025, approving plans and specifications for and authorizing advertisement for bid for the 2020 street improvement project.
I'll second it.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Administrator and staff reports. Acceptance of preliminary engineering report and environmental native for 2020 business park expansion improvements. Mr. Knutson.
Good evening again. What we have in front of you, again, that's a mouthful that the mayor just reiterated, but the preliminary engineering report summarizes the proposed utility expansion projects and related engineering details for the business park expansion. The purpose of the NEPA, or the environmental narrative, is to identify the known natural and environmental resources present and discuss the cumulative effects and/or mitigation associated with the project. Some of this information is probably familiar to you from the feasibility report that was recently done, but the preliminary engineering report and the NEPA provide further detail that is necessary for any federal EDA grant money. So it's basically just taking everything a step further to give more information. So if this is approved and we move forward with the project, we will be seeking any and all federal dollars we can. So this is needed to move it forward. So that's basically in a nutshell what we're doing here tonight. I'm sure if Marie were here, she'd have a lot more good, rosy things to say with it, but you're stuck with me tonight.
Any questions? Make a motion that we accept the PER and the NEPA documents for the 2020 business park expansion improvements.
Second?
Motion from Troy, second from Rick. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Administrator and staff, we already did that one, sorry. Closed city council meeting for real estate negotiations.
I'd like to make a motion to have a closed city council meeting for real estate negotiations pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D-05, subdivision 3C, sections 1 and 3, to determine the asking price for real property owned by the city of Becker located in a business park, considering an offer on lot 1, block 1 of Energy Park 7th edition.
I'll second that.
So motion from Becky, second from Troy. Any discussion? None? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are in closed session at 6:29 p.m. We'll go ahead and reopen the city council meeting at 6:47. Becky, if you'll give us a summary.
Yes, we provided staff direction to move forward with the purchase of the real estate.
Thank you. All right.
So with that direction, staff recommends approval and second of Resolution 20-21, approving an offer of the price on city-owned real estate and entry into a purchase agreement.
So I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-21, I think it's supposed to be 20-21, approving an offer of price on city-owned real estate and entry into a purchase agreement.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then I will make a motion to approve Resolution 20-22, calling for a public hearing on the awarding of a business subsidy.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Becky. Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you, Mary. Consent agenda.
Mayor, City Council, thank you. Please note, we have a revised consent agenda for March 17th, 2020. Items number 1 and 2 are both hiring and termination reports. Pebble Creek Golf Course and Becker Community Center. Item number 3 is the 2020-2021 workers' compensation insurance renewal. Item number 4 is the Safe Assure contract renewal. Remember, that's safety training for employees. Number 5 is IT technician job description. Item number 6 is asset disposal for Pebble Creek Golf Course. Item number 7 is an agreement to dispose of city-owned property. Item number 8 is a proposal for geotechnical evaluation with Braun Intertech. And item number 9 is contract renewal with Options Incorporated for cleaning at City Hall. If you have any questions or concerns, I can try to address those. Otherwise, a motion to approve the consent agenda for March 17, 2020 would be appreciated.
I have a question. With the job description for the IT technician, is that just for the creation or for the open rec of it?
It is for the creation or what?
Creation, or is it like an open?
Are we just approving the description, or are we approving the hiring of said position as well?
We are approving the job description and we are going to go to recruiting. The job description is not necessarily the trigger for that, but the 2020 budget has funding in place to hire a technician to do our IT work.
So the difference between the technician and then our contracted service that we have right now, is that, how will that change going for 2020?
We will use a lot less of that contract time.
So this would
So
be.
a lot of the duties and responsibilities that are currently being done by a contract employee will be transferred to an IT technician that's internal to the organization.
These would be more, this would be more of a junior level, so day-to-day kind of IT stuff, and then I think what we talked about was Rob would be more of the senior level type stuff that we don't have enough work to keep a senior busy all the time, but at the same time, we don't want to pay a senior level person to be, doing Windows updates. That would be more. I did look through the job description. Not a surprise, but.
All right, any other questions on the consent agenda? All right, otherwise I'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried. Payment of the bills.
Make a motion, we pay the bills.
Motion from Troy, second from Rick. Any discussion on those? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Does council have anything else for the betterment of Becker? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second. Motion from Troy, second from Becky. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:52 PM.